Hi friends! I just wanted to give a really quick walkthrough of my updated homeschool expenses tracker. If you've been with me for a while, you might know that this started as just a spreadsheet that I put together to track my own kids' expenses with My Tech High. But when I finished it, I didn't want all of my math to go to waste, so I shared it for free on my blog. And then a couple years back, I had to do a massive overhaul to add some fun new features and to change the way that things worked with some of the budget changes. Um, and then this past year, I overhauled it again so that it would work with the UFA scholarship. And then I had two separate spreadsheets going. Well, now this year, now that My Tech High, which is now Open Ed, also has a single funding bucket, it makes the whole project a lot simpler, and we can use the same spreadsheet for both projects. So it's now just one project, and it should be able to serve students, whether you're using UFA, whether you're a homeschooling student or a private school student. If you're using Open Ed, it should work regardless of which state you're in now. And also, I think it should work for Harmony students as well, although I haven't tested that. So, and it could probably help other people too. Anyone's welcome to use it. If it works for you, that's great. I just hope that this is a useful resource for people and it helps you keep you organized in your homeschooling. So this time around, I've made it a little bit different to get a copy of this spreadsheet than it used to be. Instead of just having the link to the spreadsheet publicly available, what I've done is I've made it an item in my affiliate shop. Now it's still totally free. I'm not charging anyone for it. But here's why I've done this. I've had the problem in the past that sometimes my calculations were a little bit off, or there might be a little bug in the spreadsheet, and I had no way to let people know that there was a problem, and I couldn't just push an update out because everyone had their own individual spreadsheet. So by going through the purchasing process, it makes it so that your spreadsheet is registered, and it just gives me an email address so that I can update you if something changes during the year. And the other reason is that I've shared this a lot. I know that there's a lot of people out there that use this, but I really actually have no idea how many people use this. So to be honest, part of this is just that it makes me feel a little bit happy inside to see like, oh, people are using this thing that I spent so much time making, and it just makes me happy to see like a number of registered users. So let's get into it. I'll show you how you can get a copy of, of this spreadsheet. So if you go to my website, hightechmama.com, you'll click on here, which is my shop. It is not as well organized as I would like it to be. Someday it will be, but not today. You'll just scroll down, you'll find the homeschool expenses tracker here, and you'll add it to your cart. Then up here, it will say view cart. If you would like, you may add a donation, totally optional. It does make it so that I can, spend more time coding instead of making pizza for my kids on a Friday night, but totally optional. I just want this to be useful for people. So then go ahead here, you go to proceed to checkout. And then for the billing details, I'm sorry, I wanted to make it so that you didn't have to fill out all of these form fields. But the only way I could do that was to pay for an annual subscription for a plugin that I didn't really want to pay for when I'm using it to give away free things. So you are totally welcome to just put dummy information in here. I'm not using this for anything, so just go ahead and put in, nothing. It doesn't matter to me. The one thing that you might want to put in for real is an email address so that I can update you if there are changes. And then you'll just click here and it'll say place order. Oh, my name got deleted. And I do know how to spell my own name. And that's it. So then if you click here on the expense tracker, it's going to download a PDF. Just click save. Then in your downloads, open it up. And it gives you all of this information. Just click here on the expense tracker. And it'll say that you're going to make a copy of the document. It does have this kind of scary looking warning that there's an app script file. I promise there's nothing nefarious in there. The things in there are things like It makes it so that you can make your spreadsheet colorful. It helps run the reports. It's all functionality. There's nothing weird in there. You're totally welcome. You can click here and view it and look through the code. I promise there's nothing scary in there. So click here, you'll make a copy. Eventually. And your spreadsheet will look like this. So what you're going to want to do, school year is totally optional. That just helps me keep track of it for me. I would probably, if I were you, rename this to something like the school that you're with, your last name, and the school year. But however you want to do that. And then you'll put your students' names in here. And then you can pick an award amount. So I have the amounts in here for $8,000 for private school students through UFA, $6,000 for the upper grades in UFA that are homeschoolers, $4,000 for the lower grade students, $2,000 for my tech high students. If you're with someone else, so say you're with Harmony, and I believe that their amount this year is $2,025, kind of a random amount. You can just enter that in here. And the spreadsheet will work. It'll give you this scary flag saying, oh, it's invalid, but it still works just fine. If you want to make sure it comes up as valid, if you go to this Utilities tab, you can just enter that here. And it'll say you can't edit it, but you totally can. Just go ahead and do it. And then that will validate it. It'll say, oh, yeah, hey, guess what? That actually is a valid amount. So grade is totally optional. I just like to once in a while remember what grade my students are in, even though they're homeschooled. And then you can pick colors for them. This is, again, totally optional, but I feel like it makes it a lot easier to see at a glance my kids' different budgets and be able to organize things quickly. So I am going to actually switch over to my actual expenses sheet that I use with my kids to show you the rest of this, because I think that's going to be a little bit easier to show you with real data. So if you go to the budgets tab, you'll see up here at the top, these are your family totals. So, and then breakdowns by students. I'll go over this with you in a little bit. We're going to start over here though. On the right, you have all of your individual expenses. So I think that it's pretty straightforward. You can put a description, whatever you want in there, the cost, select which student it belongs to, and then you can put here whether this is a planned purchase, something that you've already spent money on, maybe you've submitted it for approval already, if it's gotten approved, and if you've gotten the money back for it, or if it's rejected. This is really just for you. I find that there's things that I've been thinking about that I want to make sure that stay in my budget, right? And so I'll put them in planned so that I don't, get to January and go, oh no, like I haven't submitted the expenses for my son's violin lessons for the rest of the year, and now I'm out of budget because I didn't plan it. So that's how that works. Any status in here is going to take away from the totals over here, except for rejected. If something comes through as rejected, then I'm no longer going to tally it up in there because you didn't get the money back for it. So you still have that money in your budget. So I think that's all you need to know there. I have this column here for family expenses. So there's some things that I have that it doesn't matter which student I submit it under, any of them will work, right? Like, so for example, our internet. All of my students are going to use the internet. It doesn't matter. So I've just got this checkbox here so that I can track those expenses, so that I can say, hey, you know what? Maylee has a lot more money left over than Sam. Maybe I should submit the internet under her. It just makes it a little bit easier, I think, for keeping those things in order. And then there's also this checkbox for direct pay. You can use this to track things that you're buying out of the marketplace. I haven't done that personally. It hasn't been a thing. I don't really know what difference that's going to make to you, but if that's something that you want to track, you can track it there. I know that Odyssey has taken away pre-approvals for the UFA scholarship, but I'm leaving this here in the hopes that they decide to let us pre-approve things again. But that just gives you, statuses for that if you ever needed to track your pre-approvals. The categories here, you can use this pretty much however you want. The two categories that are important if you're a UFA scholarship recipient are the extracurricular and the physical education. Obviously, they've given us caps on those, and so if you categorize something as extracurricular, I want to make sure it comes out of your extracurricular budget, and the same with physical education, just so that you can keep those two in line. If you wanted to change these categories, if you go here under utilities, again, you can change them here, add more things to the bottom, whatever you'd like to do. But don't change the way that extracurricular and physical education are spelled if you're hoping to use the UFA tracking for those categories, because that'll mess it up. And then you'll have to email me and you'll be sad. So keep those ones in line, but you're welcome to do whatever else. It will probably tell you again that you've done something wrong, but you haven't. Just tell it, okay, that's nice. Thanks for letting me know, Google, and carry on. So let me look at my notes, see what else I've got that I thought you might want to know about. Oh, so this is one of the features that I am most excited about. Maybe no one else is ever going to use this, but I found that I was always resorting these so that I could look at all of the things that were purchased, or look at the things by student, or look at them by cost. So you now have that you can click here and it will sort everything for you automatically by status. It'll take everything. So it brings all of your purchased items. Obviously, I don't have a lot that's purchased yet because the year hasn't started yet. But normally this would have, things that have been paid. I think it goes paid out first, then approved. I think I did it backwards order from this. So paid, approved, submitted, purchased, planned. So that just helps me keep in order. And then if you click sort by student, it goes student, status, and then cost high to low. And this took me a while, and so I'm really excited about it. It sorts your students by the order that they are put in on the students page. I don't know about anyone else, but when my students' names get sorted alphabetically, it really confuses me because it'll show Danny first, and he's not my oldest. Sam is my oldest, and so it needs to show Sam first. Maybe that's silly, but that made a difference to me. Okay, so also over here, under each individual student, you can see that each student they've got their award amount, they've got their extracurricular budget that will, deduct based on extracurriculars, PE budget. Planned is going to be anything that is, has a planned status, and spent will be anything that is either, purchased, submitted, approved, paid, or in appeals. If something's rejected, it doesn't come out of your budget at all. And your remaining is going to be anything that you haven't planned for or spent already. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I find that there's a lot of things that I will be thinking about, like, oh yeah, it'll be really fun for them to take that art class. But I haven't signed them up for it yet. So I still could change my mind and do, a soccer class instead, or buy an Audible account or whatever. But being able to see what's been planned and what's actually been purchased makes a difference to me. You might also notice that under remaining, so like this is my calculations if my daughter's private school isn't approved and she gets the homeschooling award instead. Her budget then obviously is going to take a hit. So she has a negative balance here. However, up here where it has the family total remaining, her negative balance is not subtracted there because her having a negative balance doesn't take away from the money that could still be spent by her brothers. So just be aware that this will never go lower than zero, but these remaining balances can go lower than zero because that's what made sense to me. Okay, last thing. here is the reports page. This used to be the cover sheet page for MyTech High. Um, but I don't think that, my understanding is that MyTech High now has, or Open Ed, now has that you can just submit your expenses as they come. So you're not going to need that tracker page. However, I still thought it was kind of nice to have a place where you could kind of look at different reports. So you can go in here and say, look, I just want to look at anything that's actually been purchased. And it'll generate a little report for you of the things that have already been purchased this year. And you can say, oh, but I only want to see the ones that were Sam. And it'll show you just the things that were assigned to Sam. Or you might say, hey, I want to see the things that were family expenses. So, because I might be breaking those down differently. How does that break down differently? So let's see, not just the purchase, but let's see any purchase status. And it'll load that for you. So I've just given you lots of different ways that you can make reports. I don't know what you're going to find in there that's useful, but I really hope that it is useful for you. So, oh, sorry, back on the budgets page. If you go past these categories, there is also a section where you can just write notes. This doesn't go to anything in particular, just helps just for your own personal use. And then I had a request to add columns where you could keep track of the dates that maybe you submitted a pre-approval, which obviously you can't now, or when you purchased something, when you paid for it, when it was shipped, and when it was received. So those are over there. Let me just look through my notes really quick and see if there was anything else that I wanted to make sure I showed you. I think that should cover it. So hopefully this is something that's going to be useful for you and really makes your homeschooling a lot easier. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me. I'll be really honest, I'm always really busy. I try to get back to people as fast as I can, but sometimes things fall to the bottom of my inbox or my toddler swipes it away on my phone and I never see it. So I'm sorry if you're ever waiting for me on something and not getting a response, but I really do try. And yeah, best of luck with your homeschooling and I hope you have a great year. Thanks.